So in part one of our task one, we looked at powers. So we said something like 5 to the 4 means 5 times 5 times 5. Like that. Well, we could follow a bit of a pattern. There's two ways to see this. That's 5 times 5 times 5. 5 to the 2 is 5 times 5. 5 to the 1, well, we said anything to the power of 1 is just that number itself. Now that leaves us with the curious question of what is 5 to the 0? Well, we're multiplying no zeros together, no 5s together. So what have we got left if we're not multiplying anything? And there's a little kind of bit of thinking here. But what's our basic unit of all multiplying? Well, let's find it. We divide by 5, we'd let 1 less 5, 1 less 5. So if I took away this last 5, what would still be there? Well, thinking of that division operation, 5 divided by 5 leaves us with 1. And that's actually true. Anything to the power of 0 equals 1. And that's a useful additional fact that we can kind of add to our inventory. So you might want to just note that down somewhere in your jotter. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So that's a useful extra fact. That's something to definitely store away in your memory, and fact that comes up quite a lot. Okay, we've extended to 0. What about minus 1? Well, we can follow that same idea. Instead of multiplying by 5 a lot of times, we're dividing by 5. So this first one is going to be 1 divided by 5. Now, normally, that's not a very handy way to write it. You could write that as 0.2, but it's much quicker and easier to just write that as a fraction, 1 5. So actually writing these as fractions is much easier. 5 to the minus 2 is the same as 1 over 5 squared, or we're dividing by 5 twice. Now you can work that out as numbers. This process of going from there to there is called evaluating. So if I say evaluate, I want this answer here. If I say I want it just written as a fraction, I would leave it like that answer there. So there's two ways we can write it. Again, 1 divided by 5 divided by 5. So we can kind of see our link to powers here. Instead of multiplying by 5 twice, we're dividing by 5 twice. And that's going to be a really helpful way to think of it when we do some standard form work next week. So 5 to the minus 3 is the same as 1 over 5 cubed, or 1 divided by 5 divided by 5 divided by 5. And we can work out what that is. 1 divided by 5 times. And we get, if we put that in, sorry, just putting in the calculator, 0.08. This one up here, divided by 5 twice, and we get 0.04. Okay, so we can actually convert, and I'm going to show you those as questions. So this is getting you the idea of what's going on. Let's now look at some questions. So here is the first classic question that you're going to get. Something like, right, 7 to the minus 3 with positive powers. So here we've got a negative power, and the question is asking us to write that with positive powers. Well, doing that, 7 to the minus 3 is the same as 1 over 7 to the 3. So it's just the same 1 over it and making the power positive. And that's what we saw up when we spotted our pattern. That's what's going on up here. So that's question number 1. That's the first type of thing that you're going to get. Let's do another one like that. So again, right, 10 to the minus 9 with positive powers. This is just understanding two ways to write the same thing. So that's the same as 1 over 10 to the 9. So these two things are exactly the same. That's all that question's trying to get you to identify, that you've got two ways to write the same thing. Idea number 2 is using that key word I mentioned a minute ago, which is evaluate. So evaluate 6 to the minus 3. Well, this time you could rewrite it as 1 over 6 to the 3, but that's not what we're being asked to do. That word evaluate means we want to do 1 divided by 6, divided by 6, divided by 6. Or you could calculate it as 1 divided by 6 cubed. So that's using our fraction idea. Whichever one you put in your calculator, you will get, sorry, just put it in my calculator over here, you will get 0.00462962. You'll want to round that somewhere. I'm going to round it to 3 significant figures, keeping the first 3 non-zero things, 4, 6, 3. Okay. So I'm rounding my answer, but I've evaluated, because I've actually worked out the value of it, the number of it. I've not just rewritten it like we did up here. Okay, I'll do one more evaluate question. So this time I want to evaluate, and again, this is going to link in nicely with where we're next. I'm actually going to evaluate 10 to the minus 3. That is 1 divided by 10 cubed, or 1 divided by 1,000. So that's going to give 0.001. This link here between these two is going to become really helpful. So I'm just giving you ways to think of what this negative indice means. It means the same as a fraction, and it means the same as dividing by something, however many times that number is. Those two things are exactly the same, and both helpful ways to think of it. So have a go at the question. I've got some which are of this form, where you've got to write stuff with positive powers, and I've got some say evaluate. So try and do the right thing for those two styles of question, having this video. And there's this little extension task for you to have a think about as well.